Have you ever tried to do parts work with a difficult emotion like anger, only to be met with silence? What if during your first attempt it feels like you're met with a brick wall? Let me tell you about a powerful parts work session I had with a client who faced exactly that. John is in his 50s. He's been diagnosed with CIDP, CIRS, long COVID, POTS, chronic pain, multiple chemical sensitivities, and food sensitivities. John had only recently started working with me. In every session so far, he had mentioned struggling with anger. So we decided to address it using parts work. John had never attempted parts work before, so I encouraged him to stay open to whatever might come up. Then I invited him to close his eyes and focus on the anger with openness and curiosity. Almost instantly, John said, I don't know if this makes any sense. I'm seeing the red character from the movie Inside Out. It's short and stocky. I told him, that makes perfect sense. Go with whatever is coming up. Try not to analyze it. Just witness and observe what shows up. What's the red character doing? John said, he's standing in the distance. Okay, is he looking at you? No, he's looking elsewhere. Okay, if it feels right, take a couple of steps towards red and see what happens. At this point, John started fidgeting in his chair, looking very uncomfortable. I don't understand the point of doing this. I feel like I don't need to engage in this exercise right now. I said, it seems like some resistance is coming up. It's trying to protect you, trying to get you away from something that might seem too big or too much. Maybe just acknowledge its presence. And if it feels right, thank it for its protection. See if the resistance is willing to step aside for a few minutes. You're just going to approach Red and get to know him a little bit more. Nothing you or your parts are not ready for. Is resistance willing to step aside just for a few minutes? John nodded. I said, great. Thank the resistance and now continue taking slow steps toward Red. We won't go anywhere your parts are not ready to go. John said, I'm standing close to Red, but he's looking elsewhere. I encouraged John. Just say hi. Let him know you see him. You might never have said hello before, but you're here today with openness in your heart. Is there anything Red would like to say to you? John said there was less tension in the air now. Things felt more relaxed. But Red wasn't saying anything, almost like he couldn't articulate anything. That sounds like a young part, I told John. How old do you think he is? John responded, maybe 7 or 8. He feels unseen and unheard. He looks relaxed, but not happy, almost like he's defeated. He's sitting with his head down, hands on his knees. I encouraged John to acknowledge what he saw. Let Red know you see his struggle. You don't yet know what it's about or how to help, but you are here. John visualized sitting down next to Red. He put an arm around him, giving him a squeeze, a little hug, offering comfort. But then he noticed Red didn't feel comfortable with that. I reassured John, it's okay. Sometimes when we are upset, we need a little bit of time. Red isn't ready to be hugged just yet. Maybe sit next to him for now. Just be there. Maybe ask if there's anything you can do to help him. John didn't hear a reply, but he sat there anyway, holding space for Red. He then thanked both Red and Resistance for showing up and then said his goodbyes. John opened his eyes, but then he suddenly had the image of an angel. John said this was the Resistance part watching over him, protecting him. John thanked the angel for being there for him. At the end of this exercise, John's eyes lit up. He said, I want to show up for Red. Maybe him and I can play a game of catch. We'll just play together, no big conversations. That's a great idea, John. Young children don't always have the capacity to talk about their feelings. but showing up to play with Red tells him that you care. And that's exactly what John did. In the following days, John's anger melted away. By acknowledging Red, his anger part, John had made him feel seen, like he mattered. Sometimes our most difficult emotions are just our younger parts waiting for us to see them, hear them, and maybe care for them. When we can step away from resisting or judging these emotions and show up with openness and compassion, that is when true healing begins.